AFTERBUZZ TV Network. Now the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Revolution After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Revolution After Show.
Welcome to the AFTERBUZZ TV After Show of Revolution Season 1. It's the continuation, episode 11 and 12 we're talking about today. Being is for doing. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Megan Thomas. And with me today, we have the incomparable
Larice, Shamar.
The coach of the athlete, Brendan London, but I don't think I can go by the coach of the athlete right now because this is not a sports type show.
It's not, but you're a fan of Revolution, of course, right?
I'm definitely a fan of Revolution, so this is Brendan London, the fan, not Brendan London, the athlete.
I feel showed up. I'm like, just Larice, he's like, I'm the coach and the athlete. I feel showed up already.
That's all right. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about what happened. So Revolution has been on a 3-month hiatus.
Yes.
Finally came back for the last half of season 1, and it's come back with a bang. So let's jump right into it. Episode 11. It's called The Stand, and we start off with
basically where we left off episode 10. You know,
right.
They just got out of Philly. They got Danny. They got Rachel. You know, they didn't even know Rachel was there, but, you know, that's a bonus. They're getting up out of there. And look, there's a helicopter.
There's a helicopter because Rachel made the amplifier, right?
Yes, they have power now. I mean, the crazy thing about it is, like, when it kind of came back on, it's like they're running, and all of a sudden you see this helicopter shooting at them. And they kind of, at first they look like, what are we supposed to do?
Well, because, I mean, but think about it. It's been 15 years since anybody's, you know, and the kids probably don't even remember what a helicopter is. So they're probably just staring like, what is this thing?
But at the same time, looking like, this guy, he's trying to kill you guys. He has a helicopter. What do? You run. Like, seriously.
True, but I guess I can understand why there was the hesitation because, I mean, you haven't seen this for 15 years. First of all, they didn't even know what the amplifier could do because if you remember, Rachel ran out of there and just left it. Yeah. And so now they're saying, okay, this thing is being flown. But here's what I have a question about. Who knew how to fly this helicopter?
All of a sudden, somebody read the manual, like 5-second manual.
Like, it wasn't shaky or anything.
Right.
Like, I am a professional.
So, I mean, I guess I can understand if it was maybe a former fighter pilot that was part of the Monroe Republic.
Well, look, maybe the pilot knew what was going on, but whoever had the machine gun definitely didn't know what was going on with the gun because he missed.
Yeah, he was missing everybody. Like, how do you just not see people and miss them? But at the same time, you must look at, like, the Monroe. It's like everybody's kind of military experts to a certain extent. So I think a lot of the individuals probably have some military background, but then it's like, oh, well, just... Hey, anybody can fly?
Yes, exactly.
Like, if we ever get power, you're the one.
Right? Like, I'm going to wait. 15 years later, I get my chance to fly this thing. So, of course, the helicopter misses them.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of them is it right now? So, you got Miles running, you got Charlie, Danny, Rachel, Nora, and Aaron. 6 people running.
6 people you hit.
And nobody gets hit. So, I guess that's a good thing. And they end up running to a diner. Diner. And they hide out in like the freezer and this helicopter blows the building to shreds.
Yeah, it's kind of suspect that a freezer, helicopter missile, and you're still alive. I understand like most trees probably like 10 inches thick, but at the same time, it wasn't believable to me.
They turned that corner quick. They must have turned the corner, got the door open, got all 6 people in.
They just knew that freezer was there.
And closed it real quick.
Yeah.
You know, didn't have to search for it. But hey, God loves TV. Like God loves TV. You can do what you want.
Right. So I mean, that to me was a funny part that they could just get in, like nothing happened to them. And so this is, I guess, in a sense, is a good thing because you didn't want to start the season off and somebody died at the beginning of the second half of the season after it's been on hiatus. So I guess I can understand why they're like, we're just gonna let them live, at least most of them for now.
I mean, they're like the star cast. Like nobody from the star cast would die like in the beginning.
In the beginning, I don't know. We'll get into that. So then let's cut back to Major Neville, Tom Neville, who is, I guess, the right-hand man, second-hand man to Sebastian Monroe.
Yes.
And he tells Sebastian, hey, we didn't find any bodies. And more than likely they escaped. We're talking about Miles Matheson. So more than likely they're gone. So Monroe is kind of like nonchalant about it. He's like, it doesn't matter. We have power.
Yeah, we have power.
So good for them.
We have power. My oven works.
Now I can make stuff. Yeah, and he tells Monroe that Monroe tells Captain Neville that if he finds Miles to kill him, which is like a big thing because if you think about it, in episode 10 they were fighting him, and I mean they were fighting each other, and Miles lets him go. He doesn't kill him.
Had another chance to kill him, but I think this is what did it because Miles had told Sebastian Monroe, what did he say? We're dead now. I want nothing more to do with you. So now, I guess Monroe was always hanging on that one chance of them reuniting and him being complete again. And my boy is back. Yeah. But I mean, for him to tell him like, you mean nothing to me. I have my family now. Kill him.
And that's sad because they're like best friends.
I mean, but you look at like Miles has actually become like a reform, not even like rebel. He's just kind of like neutral on both sides. But just because like it's his family now, so he look at like my brother died, I have to kind of take care of the family now. So he really don't want to kind of be part of it. I understand him.
He feels guilty.
Yeah, and then here Bass is. He's no longer his one piece. His one family was Miles.
Yeah.
He's one person that he truly loved. It's his brother Miles, and Miles is kind of like you're done. So now he's ruthless. He's like, kill him. I don't care. Do what you got to do. Sad. We'll see how that goes. So then, we'll say Charlie and Company. Charlie and Company.
Echo. So now they're going to the rebel camp of Echo now.
Yeah, they're going to Echo. So Charlie and Company goes to Echo.
Yeah.
And they get there. They hide the guys hide in coffins, which is kind of smart, I think. But can you imagine how it probably stunk though?
But they only had like one dead body.
How you know?
It was only like four caskets on it.
Oh, I thought it was probably more, but they just didn't show it.
Yeah, there's only like 4 caskets. Like, he just kind of chose the one with the dead body.
So what would have happened if he chose one of the live people's coffin?
Going to war.
Somebody's dying tonight.
Going to war.
But they have guns. They had guns right there.
I don't know. They wouldn't have win though.
They played it cool. Charlie uses her head again because that's pretty much all she's good for at this point. She hasn't turned into a killer yet. And Nora had to use it. They had to use their brain to defuse the situation. I think, that kudos to her character for getting them out of that situation.
I think the branding helped though. The Monroe branding that she has on her wrist. When she kind of showed it to him, it's like, I'm kind of part of Monroe. And it's like, okay, well, we still have to check it just for precautions and everything.
Yeah, that was good. A good thing that brand came in handy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how that was going to turn out when she did get that brand. So the one thing that we find out is that they escape.
Yeah.
Everybody gets out of their coffins. They have their reunions, hug. And then Aaron asks the questions that everybody's been wanting to know. Rachel, where have you been? What have you been doing? What is going on? We have been asking these questions for months, and finally Aaron asks her, and what does she say?
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
She's like, I'll tell you. Oh, she's like, what did she say specifically? Oh, she said, I'll answer your questions in due time.
But she's like real kind of patient with everybody. Everybody like, okay, cool, like we need some information. But she's just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll talk to you later. Like you kind of like do like your kids and stuff. You're like, all right, go watch TV. Mommy's like cooking or something. Like seriously, she just kind of brushed everybody's off.
And I think the reason that she does that is because Rachel is very, she's kind of a fractured, broken person. Because if you think about it, she's been held in captivity for 15 years, and Lord knows what has happened to her. She probably might have gotten beaten, raped, punched, tortured. Mentally, she's probably just gone through it. So I think she's kind of a fractured person, and she's just like, give me a minute, just let me breathe for a second, and then I'll tell y'all everything.
I feel you.
Sees her kids. She finally sees her kids, both of her kids. She sees that they're alive. She sees that one was being held captive. She goes through the whole situation with the one scientist and his daughter having to kill him to remain alive. Rachel's a fighter, you know, and like
She
you said,
is.
it could have been a very overwhelming situation. She probably just needed time to.
I mean, I put Rachel on the level of Monroe, Miles, and herself because like they would do anything to survive.
Killers.
Everybody.
So you don't think other people will?
No, I mean they will if they have to, but it's just like one of those things like it's either gonna be you or me.
But that's what makes the show so great
Yeah.
because it makes you look at yourself now and be like, it's either you or me. Because we're going to talk about the beard. And
Yes.
we were talking earlier, but that's the great thing about this show. It's what would I do type thing. That's what draws you to the show. What would I do in that situation?
Yeah,
So-
because I think in any situation, I think any of these characters have the right formula within them that if they're pushed up against the wall, they're going to snap. Even Aaron, even nice little
Yeah.
Aaron is going to, because you remember like back in the beginning of the first season, he left his wife who he loved.
Yeah.
It's like the only person that really knew him and loved him. Remember he left her there because he was like, I can't care for her
Yeah.
and take care of her the way she needs to be taken care of. So I'm gonna have to leave her. That was tough.
That was
But I think
tough.
I think that's kind of a coward mode though, because he feel like, hey, you know, I can't do nothing for anybody else, not even for myself. So why should I kind of even try to partake and try to like help somebody else? Because he was basically like a nerdy guy, had a lot of money, but at the same time, like he had no self like understand who he was as a person. He wasn't that protector. He's like, oh, I can provide for you financially, but I can't protect you from, you know, Brandon or Megan or something like that.
But is that a selfish move or is that a very loving move? Because I would think that being selfish, she'd be like, well, we're just gonna stay together, and I know I can't help her, but at least we're together. Or is it better that he lets her go with people who can protect her and keep her safe, and then leave because he's just a hindrance to them?
But at the same time, you're there together.
Okay.
He would have died in that camp though.
He probably would.
That's why he left. That's why he
He could
left.
be right now.
That's right,
He would have got somebody killed. He would have fell asleep.
Yeah,
like
he
at
always
the
that
switch
person
or
that will
something.
always do like the wrong thing to
No.
get somebody else killed. He would be that
He
person.
would be that guy. But the fact that he has Miles here, he has Rachel here, he's in the right camp. His brain can be utilized, and all he has to do is, you know, shank somebody every
I
once
think,
in a
and
while.
I think
He'll
he's
be
coming.
all right.
I feel like, you know, in later episodes, he's actually going to probably show, you know, surprise us. Because in episode 10, what did he do? He actually, he was the one that blew up the wall so that they could get out.
Yeah.
And that was a big step for him, and I think that was, you know, redemption for him. So I think we're going to see in the later episodes that Aaron's role is going to be pivotal, especially if they get power back.
I want to see him get angry.
Oh yeah,
I want to see Aaron get
It's the
angry.
quiet ones you gotta
It's
worry
like,
about.
right.
Cause you know what's gonna happen when he get angry and he start killing people? Everybody gonna look at him like,
Right.
I got nothing to say. Like, go,
Right.
go.
Right.
But that's the great thing about Revolution. Like
Yeah.
you see him, he was a millionaire, billionaire. You see the wife Rachel and the husband, they were scientists. You see Neville was an insurance guy. I'm wondering what would you be if all the lights came off? What would you be? What would you be your role in a refugee camp?
I'm
Are you a
done.
killer?
I'm out.
You're not a killer?
I ain't no killer, but don't push me.
Oh.
I don't know. As Tupac said, I don't know what I would do. And I thought about that. I'm like, okay, what could I really do? I guess the only thing that I could do is I'm kind of country. I'm from Kentucky, and I know a little bit how to like grow and cultivate food.
Okay.
Because we've always had gardens. So I think that would be me. I'd be like the head gardener.
So you be part of the rebel
I would be.
or the Monroes or the militia?
I'm just saying.
I'm just
You
saying.
from Jersey? You a city
Either-
boy? How you
Hey.
gonna handle?
I
how
know,
you gonna
city
handle
boy.
that
What are you
I'm
gonna
be
do?
part of the militia.
I-
Be part of the militia.
I'm sorry, I don't want to shoot you. But
I gotta do it.
gotta
Sorry.
do it.
Brandon, what are you? How would you make it if you were in revolution times?
I'd be a rebel fighter, hiding in caves, waiting for the militia to walk through the pass, and then I'm gonna jump out and ambush the troops.
Oh, you're gone. You
By
know what?
himself. By himself. By himself.
No, it was funny just because I was telling her like to get into the show. I watched episode 1 through 12 this past weekend, and I cut all my electricity. Well, I didn't cut it off. I just turned all the lights off. I couldn't shave. I didn't do anything. I kind of cheated because I plugged my computer in the wall so I could use my Wi-Fi to watch the show, but I didn't have a razor to do anything. Like I couldn't cut my hair, and I couldn't just go to the refrigerator. I
Yeah.
put a bunch of ice and tried to live like that, and it just got me thinking, like, what if I really had to live like that? Like I can't. There's no more pretty boy, cultured athlete.
I hear grimy.
Yeah,
Like, you know what?
my face itches right now. I'm like, what's going on?
And I'm not even going to be funny. There's this, we'll talk about it later, but as you're saying this, it reminds me when I was watching and Charlie gets, she went to go fight and she gets hurt.
Oh, yeah.
She like takes her shirt off to like clean her wound and she has I'm just, this is a girl thing. She has on a bra and I'm like, how did she get a bra? Like, who made a bra for her? Where did she get this bra from?
That thing all worn out.
Like,
She got real chicken
But
wire
that's a
in
real
the back.
question. Like,
she's like, you don't need this. It fits me
if you
well.
have no manufacturer to make bras, then what do women wear? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real girl issue.
Whatever make it work. They did it a long time ago.
Right.
When the Pilgrims came to America.
Right. So then we have the helicopter. It finds a rebel base.
Oof.
It obliterates everybody that's in this building, and this is where the group is going. So when they get there, of course, Nora is devastated because these are her people, and they decide that they need to warn the headquarters for the rebels that, look, they're coming to kill you guys. So everybody splits up. They go to the base, but then Miles and Rachel say, hey, you know what? Rachel's got a friend who she worked with, and he's probably going to be able to help us, you know, get some power. So we're going to go there. So they split up. And at first, I wasn't okay with them splitting up because I was just kind of like,
They always split up.
I know. But then I wonder, I sometimes wonder, like, how long does it take y'all to find each other?
I know. They always like split up and they say, you know, like 10 minutes in the episode, like they're back together. I'm like,
Right?
y'all do some quick traveling
go
on horse and buggy.
And I'm just like, how close are you guys? It just seems that you guys always find each other.
Yeah.
And no cell phone.
No cell
No
phones.
GPS. How would we survive if we did not have a cell phone to find people?
Because like you said, Nora wanted to go down to the refugee headquarters down in Annapolis, Maryland. Like, keep in mind, they just walked from Philly to Westchester, New York, from Westchester down to Annapolis, Maryland.
Yeah.
How long
They're
of a drive
walking.
is that?
That's too long. Too long.
I'm like, to walk, it's like a few
I'm taking the
weeks.
G5.
Right.
A few weeks.
And they just walked right up to the rebel base. Like, they had Siri telling them where to go.
Like,
The internal Siri.
turn
Like,
left.
They just
Hey,
walked
but you know
straight.
the crazy thing about it, like when the helicopter first came to the first rebel base, is that you hear a foreign object. I mean, in my mind, I would think that, okay, two things gonna happen. Either I'm gonna die, or somebody gonna come rescue me. First of all, if I heard a helicopter or attempted to see a helicopter, I'm going for cover because I don't know who's getting off that helicopter or what's about to happen.
Yeah. Sure.
So when he kind of like pulled the board back and like just looked directly out and saw the helicopter, you deserve to die.
wow.
You just deserve to die.
But then again, once again, you have to
It's the
remember there's a
rebels.
shock, there's a level of shock here because these people have not seen this technology in years. So you're kind of like, what's going on? It's going to take you a second to be like, okay, there's a helicopter. How is that even working?
At the same time,
That's electricity. And then, you know, and this guy's shooting you.
you have to play it safe though. I'm that guy. I'm the guy in the back like, yo, I'll be back
All right,
here.
Larice, let's see what happens when we turn the lights off for 15 years.
I'm in the back.
Okay, so this is where we have our first flashback.
Yeah.
And it's a flashback of Rachel and Ben, who is Charlie and Danny's father, having a debate about the experimental surgery for Danny when he was younger.
Yeah.
And they say they're going to go ahead and go with it because they feel like they have no other choice. And I think this flashback, it was kind of out of the blue. And so when I saw this, it made me go, okay, what's going to happen with Danny? Because like, this is kind of a random flashback.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
was.
And I think it foreshadows something's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
So that's something that I got from that. But it also shows that they love their son so much. They were like, who cares how experimental this is? This is his only shot to live. Let's just go for it. You know what I mean?
But you know what though? It's further in the episode that we can kind of revisit the whole like the surgery thing, and I wanted to have some type of significance to it in the end.
It does. We'll see. We'll talk about
Now that
Dun,
I think
dun,
about it, but we don't
Yes.
want to.
You know, I paid attention.
But exactly like you said, yeah, they started setting up the whole Danny thing because
Yeah.
they went from her to him talking to Charlie after that.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
And so then here we go. It cuts over to Miles and Rachel. And it's nighttime, they're camped out, and this was weird for me because this is where we find out that Miles left Rachel at the Monroe camp.
Yeah.
And that was because he thought she was dead.
Yes.
And she has, I'm sure, a lot of resentment because she feels like he just left me. So now he's telling her, well, I didn't know you were alive. And then they get really close, like they're about to kiss.
I was thinking like, did it have some type of love affair?
Right.
It's like,
Is Charlie Miles's daughter? That's where I'm going with that. That's
really?
That's where I'm thinking with that.
I think it's more to the situation between Miles and Rachel, because it's just like that moment, and just like how he kind of looks at her and how she kind of looks at him at times throughout this. It's like, do they have something other than, hey, you know?
They've got to.
Noah's starting to see that too. Noah's starting to see that as well.
Yeah.
When they were getting ready to go see John Sierra, the scientist.
Yeah.
She kind of peeped that, and Charlie kind of peeped the interaction between Miles and Rachel.
But I think
before
they're
they
still
left.
trying to figure out, is it tension, is it anger, like
Yeah.
what's going on here? But I think it's going to be revealed soon enough. These people are, dun, 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 who knows? Yeah. But what I want to know is, how do we reveal this podcast on iTunes?
For those who tuning into us today, make sure you go to iTunes and download the iTunes app for Revolution. You can rate us. Rate us good. We always take a 5. You tell a friend, download the podcast so you can kind of listen and tune in with us also.
Yes, always do that. Go to iTunes.com in case you don't have iTunes. That helps. So then, getting back into episode 11, we have Major Neville with his son Jason.
You know what? I know that was something that was going to happen anyway, because his son just kind of feels a certain way. His son really don't believe in what's going on right now, because they're pretty much just like, hey, we're here to defend ourselves, but instead we're killing everybody else, you know, to make sure that we stay in control. And his son, it's not the first time his son actually like rebelled against him. You know, the train incident. You know, so it's like, even the incident when he kind of like brought him in front of Monroe, it's like, he really don't want to be part of it. He's like, I'm being forced to kind of be part of something that I really don't. I just want to kind of be like a kid. But even with that incident between, you know, him and his father, it was like, what happens next?
Yeah, and they fight. And for a minute there, I really thought that Jason was going to do a little more to his father, because I was really disappointed in that fight, because his father creamed him. His father beat the brakes off of him.
Yeah. He was like, yo, I just don't feel right today.
Right? Like, and I'm like, Jason, where are your skills at? You are like way younger than your father. Your father taught you how to box. Like back in the day, back a few episodes ago, his father was like showing him when he was younger how to fight. Jason, you can't fight your dad.
You never heard of that old man strength?
Yeah, did you see what he was doing to that punching bag?
You never heard that old man strength?
Okay, but I'm saying, so I just feel like Jason should have done a little more to fight his father. I thought that was a puny little fight. And so then, you know, and I think what sets him off to really rebel against his father is because when they're scoping out the Annapolis rebel camp, they see Charlie. So his dad is like, oh, we really about to call this airstrike. And he's like, no, that's my girl. I love her deep down inside. So then, I mean, I guess he really feels deeply enough about this cause and Charlie to fight his father and basically be like excommunicated. Like, you're dead, don't ever come back home, is what his father told him.
It's kind of harsh.
That's harsh.
But at the same time, you look at it like when he actually sees Charlie in the woods, and he kind of like let her know, like, hey, you know, the Monroe is coming, the militia is coming, they're going to get the helicopter and everything. And she's like, okay, you can't go with me. I don't care what you do. I don't care where you go, but you got to get out of here. You know, so it's kind of like Jason's kind of getting pushed around, and I want to kind of see when he kind of reappears throughout the episode to kind of see like whose side will he take.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I think he's gonna I think in next week's episode or when they were showing what's coming up, they show that he's actually going to join the rebels. I don't know if that's in the trailer that was shown at WonderCon, which we'll talk about later, or if that was actually what they showed for the next episode. But either way, he ends up joining them. It's a little spoiler tip. Okay, so
stay tuned, fans.
Stay tuned. Okay, so now we've got Rachel and Miles. We're back at the scene with them, and they're at John's house, and John is a coworker, an old coworker of Rachel's, and he tells them that he's been working on some just a couple of toys, and then we see he got like a
military downstairs
technology.
And he's got this little sonic boom thing, and he's like, it knocks anyone out that it's pointed to, and he knocks them out because he tells them that he's working for Randall. The scary Randall. So then, so they come back to, and he tells them that Randall has Grace, who we remember from a few episodes ago. She also had a pendant.
Yes.
And so that he's already called Randall, and he's going to turn them into Randall. And, you know, Rachel is, like, mortified. She is scared. So, like, she's more scared than she was when she was with Monroe.
Exactly, because she revealed the plan to him. She told them, you know, with his power, with his energy, they can get those guns, they can get that high-power machinery to the rebels, and now they have a fighting chance against Monroe.
Yeah.
So she told him all that information, and then he goes out there, hits him with the sonic boom. Next thing you know, they're all tied up.
Yeah.
Her plan's out the bag now.
But it's like everybody is so scared of this guy named Randall. I mean, I don't think I'd be scared of him. I mean, because you look at it, he has a pendant, I have a pendant. I have weapons. You have weapons.
I know, but he's not. He's like gathering all the pendants up because now he has his pendant, he has Grace's pendant, and obviously he's got John in the bag, so he's got John's pendant. That's 3 pendants right now. So that's a little scary. And so of course Miles, as crafty and MacGyver-like as he is,
It's like twisting his
twists his hands. He gets out and he like knocks John out completely, and then he asks Rachel, who is Randall? She's like, you don't want to know. We don't need to stick around to find out. So then they get the heck out of there. And I think that makes me a little more scared of, like, what is Randall up to that you are that perturbed and, like, that shaken up by him, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, but she reveals in the end why she's kind of like that scared, and so.
And then the scene cuts to Randall and Grace. And Grace is now fixing an elevator. And he's like, you know, they've got to they're in a tower. They've got to get down to level 12.
Level 12.
Why is level 12? Why do you think level 12 is so important?
I think it's probably like part of the Department of Defense, and that's probably have like more of the technology down there to kind of get the power back on. That's what I'm thinking. 'Cause anything like 12 stories below, I think it's something very important down there.
Something that can help harness the energy, you know, greater, you know, have more of an effect. Weapons right now, weapons are cool. They have the weapons they need right now. So going down 12 flights, 12 stories, you know, you're not going to go do that, you know, for a nuclear bomb. You have the best weapons already. You're looking for something energy, you know, energy based, something that can take the limited energy that you have now and turn it into something greater. Yeah. That's what I feel.
I know that is a little, I don't know, it's a little scary. I think that whatever is, because he's working so hard to get down there, and I think when they find out what's in there, that has, whatever is on level 12 is going to change the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to change, because he's worked very hard to find these people and to make sure that he can have his team of scientists and engineers so they can get down to this level.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be important. And then we see Major Neville telling Monroe that his son is dead, and that they found Annapolis. They're gonna have an airstrike, and they're gonna kill everybody in the rebel camp.
Everybody.
And I think when he lies and tells Monroe that his son is dead, I think that's gonna come back to bite him in the butt.
It is.
I think it's more or less like dead to him.
But he didn't say that. He said his son was dead. Like, he's gone. Like, he no longer lives.
But you gotta kind of, well.
But he said he died in the fight. That's what he said.
Yeah, because Monroe saw that he was shaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't his usual self. So that's why when he asked him, he had to play it off to say that, you know, his son died. But at the same time, we always see stories like this where you say someone's dead and then they come back.
Right.
And so that's setting it up for, you know, maybe later on in the season. But that's going to be awesome.
I don't know. And I think Sebastian is he's already on edge, and he doesn't really trust people, because the only person he trusted
was Miles.
And Miles is gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
now he's like, you know, I think if Jason comes back and it's shown that, oh, you're not dead, I think Major Neville's going to be in some serious crap.
Yes.
I think it's already been like a trust issue between the two of them anyway from previous episodes because of the son.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then we go back to the Rebel HQ, and Charlie tells everybody, hey, the choppers are coming. What are we going to do? So now they're regrouping, and they are getting ready to fight. And now when they do this, I'm like, you guys don't stand a chance. I'm so sorry. Y'all better run.
But I'm glad Miles said that, though. Miles had to kind of call them out, let them know, like, you guys are used to dying.
Yes, in episode 12, he tells them that, yeah. That's good. I mean, that's very important, because you know, I think the thing that you can see though, they have heart.
Yeah.
They have heart, and they're really like, we're gonna do as much as we can. We're not just gonna be some cowards and run away, which is what I would do. I'm sorry.
We already
be
know.
against a chopper, I'm out.
We already know you can be a farmer. It's okay.
I'm just a simple farmer.
But I mean, I think at the same time, I think what it is that they just feel like, hey, why should we get up and just run? Because we really don't have nothing to lose but our lives. You know, we don't have power. We barely have like all of our rebel camps are actually being attacked right now. So what else can we do? If we're gonna fight, we're gonna go out with the fight. And that's the type of person I would be. Also, I wouldn't be like, oh well, let's kind of get up and just move on.
Yeah.
But you know, you just kind of go out with the fight.
But at the same time, I wouldn't be one of those people who just pick up a pitchfork and like, let's kill them, and they got guns. Like, oh, wait, let's talk this out first.
But you know the funny thing though, like the commander at the rebel camp, he was like, who want to be on the front line?
But Nora, Danny, Charlie, they all raise their hand like, yes. If y'all don't put your hands down.
Y'all ready? He's gonna die tonight.
Exactly. So then here comes the fight. There's 2 helicopters against all these people and their guns, and you know, then just in the nick of time, Miles and Rachel come back with these heavy duty. What is it?
Rocket launcher.
Rocket launchers. There we go.
There you go.
Rocket launchers, and they as Miles is trying to hit one of these copters, because of course one of them has the amplifier, not both. So he's trying to figure out which one it is. When he's getting ready to shoot it, the other one shoots at him, and he goes flying.
Yeah, as always.
As always. And so, of course...
And he's okay.
He's okay.
Know,
and
right?
everybody's checking on him. And so what does Danny do? Danny tries to be heroic, and he grabs the rocket launcher.
He does.
You know what? Before that, let's talk about the conversation him and his sister had when she was like, hey, you know, I think you should sit this one out. Why is that the other person always gotta be like, no, I'm not gonna do it? Like, and like again, it kind of built up to like the whole hospital scene where you was like, oh, something's gonna happen to Danny. And you know, again, it's another one. Like, Danny, sit this one out. But he's like, no, you did enough for me already. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight.
In a way, she kind of disrespected them though, because she told him, you know, you can help with the wounded.
I know, right? It was
I'm
like
18 years old. I'm a grown man. I'm not helping with the wounded.
Is he like 16?
He's 18. They said 18.
But you know what? I think Danny has been babied a lot of his life because he was a sickly child, and because his sister was told, make sure you watch your brother, and she had to watch over him. Like, there was a flashback where he was having an asthma attack when they were asleep. So she's like, okay, just breathe. And I think his whole life he's kind of been babied. So, you know, as most little brothers are, you know, he's kind of handicapped because everybody in his family has kind of coddled him. So now he's like, you know what? He wants to step out on his own. He wants to do something great. So he's like, I'm going to do this. And, you know, he's like, I got to fight. So what can she say then? Of course, she's being the big protective sister that she's always been. But, you know, she can't really say anything. So it's really sad when it's very heroic and very martyr-like for him to take the rocket launcher to shoot at the helicopter. But you can see some of his immaturity in his youth, because once he shoots the helicopter down and the other one goes down, he stands there.
Yo, I did it.
And that's what I was like, run, Danny, run, go.
I did it.
He stands there. So, of course, this helicopter is spinning around, and they shoot him, and he's dead.
Got him.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that he died, though. I didn't think that was, I'm like, oh, he's going to be okay. But then I saw those 4 bullet wounds out the back.
He got shot like 4 times. I mean, you look at the size of those bullets.
Those are big bullets.
Yeah, 50 cals.
It's over. Back then,
he's done.
No medical staff.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, limited medical staff. Like, we can put a Band-Aid on it. Like, you all right.
But did you think they were going to kill him this soon on the show?
No.
No, not really.
That was a surprise.
The only
that was a
time
big
they're going to
surprise.
use him now is flashbacks. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
The mom or the sister probably flashback to him.
Yeah, that's it for him.
So then we see that, you know, they're kind of sitting around like, I cannot believe he's dead. And Charlie's like, I think Charlie's whole mode has changed. She is now a killer.
My favorite Charlie.
Killer.
I think she's just kind of numb to everything now.
Yeah.
Good, because season 1, I wanted to throw a brick at her.
Oh my
Why?
God.
Because she wants to save her brother?
She was so
soft.
She would not listen.
Hard-headed.
She would not listen.
We gotta kill him. No. Why you want? What would
Charlie,
Jesus
stay
do?
here. They say no. Charlie's like gone.
Gone. Like,
So she should have killed all of those people.
Yes.
She has a heart. That's part of her humanity. I think that's a good thing about her.
Well, she doesn't have a heart anymore. She said we're gonna be a rebel and we're gonna kill them all. Like
Bang, bang.
She had me pumped right there. And I said, okay, this is the Charlie that I can see myself liking. I'm already seeing myself like Rachel a little bit, even though she abandoned her kids, which I'm not a big fan of that.
I mean, we don't know the entire story
Okay, we
yet.
don't know the entire story.
But she
It's
did it
still
for a reason.
unfolding. It's still unfolding. But Rachel kind of got on my nerves at first, but then she came around when she stabbed the doctor, and she's this brilliant woman. She's probably the most viable piece right now. Her and Miles are the two most viable pieces for the Rebels right now.
Yeah.
But this is definitely Charlie's top moment of the show.
And she's grown. You can see from the beginning of the season, she's kind of this docile girl.
Yes.
She's very strong-willed, but she's not really sure what to do. Now she's a grown woman. She is a woman. She is she has a plan, a mission. The first half of the season, she was trying to find her brother. The second half, she's avenging her brother's death.
Yeah, I think we can see a lot more out of her over the next several episodes to the end of the season, where she kind of plays like a real key part in the whole development of the revolution.
Yeah, and so after that, we see that back at the Monroe headquarters, there's a guy that comes in and says, "Hey, there's somebody that wants to visit you."
In a cutlass.
And a cutlass. Like, what?
He's been hanging out with them rappers.
I know, right? Can we get a truck or something?
Like, out of all the cars, he's in a Cutlass Sierra.
He was like, I know, right? He's like, Cutlass Sierra. Like,
So of course Monroe's like, yeah, all right, I guess I'll see him. And it's Randall, and Randall's like, the question is, Monroe says, how can I help you? And Randall says, the question is, how can I help you? And so now we've got these two bad guys on the same team, and I'm worried. Like, I'm worried.
But you know what? I think what's going to happen is that Randall going to use Monroe to basically to fight the rebel forces to help him get down to level 12, and then he gonna end up like turning on him, because there's no way Randall has like all this knowledge of what's going on, and he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna give everything to you, I just want to help you. I think he kind of used that reverse psychology. He's like, oh, okay, be my puppet, but in the end, I'm gonna be the man. I'm gonna be the guy who's running everything else.
Because it's still like, geeks still have to be geeks. If you're a technology guy, you still have to be a technology guy. If you're a soldier, you still have to be a soldier. Because in this point, you need the electricity or you need the power to supply the helicopters and the militia and that situation. So alliances have to be formed. And now that Randall's in the equation, it's Randall and Monroe versus Miles and Rachel now. That's the way I see it,
So now it's about to get interesting.
I mean, because you look at it, it's like two scientists and two military men.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
It's going to be the brains versus the brawn. We'll see what happens with that. And then, of course, it cuts to Rachel at the very end, and she's crying over Danny's dead body. And then she cuts him open and takes out this blinking light.
Blinking light.
So I guess that's what was inserted into his body during this experimental surgery. So the question is, what is this light and what is it for?
I wonder if that have like more of the information of why the world kind of went out of power, and this blinking light could be like a chip to restore the world with power.
I think so.
It'd be like a pacemaker or something. What type of surgery was he going in for?
I think it had something to do with his heart.
So it had to be something with heart. So if it's the heart, it has to be something in there that can, jump the heart, be some sort of energy for the heart to keep it going. But she cut it right out of his hip.
No, she cut it on his side.
Oh, she did.
It was like, it was kind of high.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was on his right side, though.
Okay.
So who knows what that is? But I mean, we'll see. But I think that's a good point, that it might help turn the power back on.
It's been 15 years and it's still blinking.
Yeah.
So.
And here's the other thing. So Randall, I guess Randall doesn't know that he's dead, because Randall was the one that helped them, remember, get the surgery. He was the one that bumped him up on the list, if you remember in the old episodes. So that's why they agreed to work for him to get this surgery. So I wonder if Randall knows about this little blinking light that was in Danny's body.
He has to. Because otherwise, when they got Rachel, he would have killed her or something right there. They need her alive. They don't necessarily need Miles alive anymore. Miles can be shot at will. But Rachel is the most important person on the Rebels organization right now.
But I think Miles actually have a knowledge of what's really kind of going on.
True.
Because I don't think he's like left in the dark. I just think he's not saying a lot, because a lot of information was shared to Miles, in the beginning, through his brother. But it's like he knows a lot, but he's just not saying a lot.
That's true.
He's just kind of taking that neutral role like throughout the whole like previous 10 episodes, and now it's just like, okay, well, I got to kill Monroe because he killed Danny.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. So that's where episode 11 leaves off.
Episode 11.
Episode 11. So episode 12 starts off, they're burying Danny. There's not a lot of tears. At this point, I think these people are just tired and they are they're like so numb and amped to kill Monroe and his camp that they're just like, they have no more tears left. They don't cry. So then Miles says that he's joining the rebels and he kind of scolds them and says, this is why you guys have been losing. This is why, we're going to, in order to win, we're going to have to get my old team back.
Yeah.
And that includes who he says, Jim Hudson, who's played by Malik Yoba.
Yeah.
And, so he and Nora agree to go find Jim, and Jim and Nora even says to him like, he might kill you, and he was like, yeah, you're right, he might kill me. So it's interesting to see like what's going to happen with them. So then they go on this hunt to find Jim. In the process, a guy overhears where they're going and then tells tells one of the Monroe leaders, he's going to Culpeper, Virginia, and they are gonna find Jim.
And still gets killed.
And he still, why did you tell him?
Because you know why? He just felt, exactly. I'm like, what are you going to do with diamonds, though?
That's what I'm saying. I guess you can barter them for other things. But other than that, I don't understand why you would even, they're going to kill you. Why do you not know that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they go to Culpeper, Virginia. They find him and they decide that it's definitely, they see Jim in the library. And Jim has a new name. His new name. Henry, and he claims to not know them.
Yeah.
So for some reason, he doesn't want to know them
at all.
Yeah, I think it's more so because now he has this new form life and everything, whereas that he want to kind of forget his past. Anybody who kind of have like a troubling past or kind of did a lot of hurtful things, like let me kind of like revamp my life. Let me kind of rename myself, be this perfect person so that people can accept me for who I am.
Just like Miles was a bartender,
Right.
Yeah. They called Miles in Chicago at the bar. Now Henry's a librarian.
All right.
Interesting. But, fun fact, Culpeper, Virginia is actually 30 minutes away from where I went to high school at in Charlottesville, Virginia. We used to play Culpeper High School all the time. And they used to beat us pretty bad. So when I heard Culpeper, Virginia, I really got into this episode because, they're right there in VA, Virginia.
And I think that's a good thing, too.
Yes.
Shout out to all the writers here for Revolution because I think it's a really good thing that they incorporate all these little towns in the U.S. because it makes people go, oh, my gosh, that's where I'm from.
Yeah.
I know about that little town because they throw a lot like Noblesville, Indiana.
Yeah.
Like that's a small little place outside of Indianapolis. And so I think that's a good thing. It draws people in on another level. But what I was going to say is that now we see that Randall and Monroe are now buddy-buddy, but Randall kind of insults Monroe. He kind of tells him like, he kind of puts him in his place a little bit, but he tells him that, he's got the ability to give Monroe an entire continent. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't have to kiss your butt. I don't have to be afraid of you. I can help you. So
again, it's the whole thing goes back to like, he's using Monroe to get a bigger picture. It's like, oh, let me just kind of put my puzzles together. But, when you see the final picture, it's like, I'm going to be in charge of everything.
Because he'll give Monroe a continent. I'll give you enough energy to take over a continent. Then I'll go over to another continent and give somebody enough energy for this continent. I control the whole entire world.
Right.
I don't answer to anybody. I'll be that guy. So what's up with these science guys trying to take over the world when they could just easily get beat up?
Right?
It's the
but
brain.
I guess knowledge is power.
But I think everybody need them, though, because, like, right now, it's just to a point that without the scientists, we have nothing.
Nothing.
We have Megan in the farm.
Oh, hold on. We need to eat. Everybody got to eat now. Everybody got to eat. Okay?
He would like to shave, though. He would like to shave.
So then we go and we see Charlie's coming back from this raid. As I was saying earlier, she's like beat up. She's bleeding. Her mom wants to help her, and she's like, no. And her mom slaps the bejesus out of her.
What? It looks like a Medea movie.
I was happy, though, because that is the first time. From here, before now, Rachel seems kind of like a mother who is not very, she hasn't been there, so she's felt very guilty. But now she's like, hold on, wait a minute. I've birthed you. I went through all those labor hours.
Pretty much.
I'm your mother, regardless of what you think. Don't you ever talk to me like that, and smacks her. But then I wish she would have stood her ground after she smacked her.
Always.
And said, no, you come back here and talk. And she just kind of was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it just happened. It's just like one of the things to kind of put Charlie in her place, but at the end, Charlie still's like her own woman right now. Like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I don't want to argue with you, so I'm just gonna kind of walk away from the situation. But then kind of tells into Randall, when they like, oh well, they hear the siren. They're like, what is the siren for? And then they have like the militias coming down like army tanks, and they're like, what happened.
Because Rachel sees that the two medallions are lit up.
Yeah.
And Aaron tells her, like, oh, that's happened before. And she was like, no, that doesn't happen. So, of course, she's now like, okay, it must be Randall. And she goes into destruction mode. So now she's like finding acid. She's trying to put all this stuff together to destroy these two medallions. And then she opens them up and they're like USBs. And Aaron's like, what's on these USBs, these flash drives? I think he got a little happy being a tech guy.
Yeah.
These are flash drives.
Yeah.
Like, what's on there? So we have the Randall and company moving in to try to get Rachel or get the medallion.
He's tracking the medallions.
He's tracking the medallion. So, of course, she gets rid of them, but they're already there. But the good thing was, I think that the rest of the rebel camp was able to leave.
Yeah.
However, now you got these three still stuck in there. As always. And so they're trying to escape. And I think this is where we first see Charlie be a stone cold killer. She kills two of these Monroe people easily. Yeah. She doesn't bat an eyelash.
I think her mindset now is just like, it's either you're going to die or I'm going to die. So now it's like, I have my mom. I just lost my brother. Aaron's just kind of a guy who's just hanging around. But at the same time, it's like, either you're going to die or I'm going to die. If not, you're going to kill me or take me captive again. And I don't want to kind of go through that whole torture thing with the Monroes. So I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to kill you. And she picked up a big gun, a very, very big gun. Very big gun.
Powerful.
Growing to her own now.
And then she gives a crossbow to Aaron here.
But another cool thing was the flashback to where we get to know so much about Randall's character, how his son died in the Afghan war. Yeah. And you know, he's the assistant secretary of the Department of Defense.
Exactly.
And he's Rachel's boss. So now we know why he wants Rachel so bad. Now he knows why he wants to, round up all these scientists so bad, and we get we get information on his character and what makes him this evil, quiet,
I think
this character.
Like with him and Rachel, and they pretty much developed this, hey, let's develop these pendants because you never know what might happen. Mm-hmm. So he kind of got like, hey, I need Rachel, I need my other scientists, but at the same time, he's like, it's something bigger on level 12 than these pendants.
Yeah. And I think we're going to see that coming up here shortly, because he tells her, he says on the intercom, I don't need that jewelry. I need your big brain though. Yes. Yeah. And so of course, they're running through the hospital and they get separated and they do capture Rachel. Yeah. But Charlie's not about to lose her mom again. So here she is shooting at them. She's shooting. She misses. I don't know how she didn't hit her mom. Because I thought for a second she was just kind of blindly shooting. Like, she's going to kill her mom.
She's a sniper.
Right? So she retrieves her mom and they run away, which is a really good thing. But, of course, Randall, he's up to no good. And we see a flashback of him with the Department of Defense. Now, before we saw when his son died, now he's telling Ben and Rachel, you guys have a month to get this thing together, this weapon together. If you don't get it together, like somebody else will. Yes. Yeah. You got a month. And they're like, no, can we have like 6 months, 10 months? We need more time to make sure that we can keep it contained. And he's like, no, because more soldiers are going to die if we don't get this thing working in a month. So then you see where the anger comes from, because his son died. And then you also know now he's like amped more than ever. We got to start killing people in Afghanistan because they killed my son. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's going to play a major role in it, and I think that's why he's so like, we got to fix this.
Bitter. Yeah. But he's right though. He's so right. If we don't find the way to get this machine done, this weapon done, somebody else is. But you take the burden of being that bad guy for developing it, because your team, you're the guy who's the leader, whose team develops this weapon of mass destruction or whatever. But if you don't, somebody else is. So, like, how are you, like, I have this struggle to see if he's really a bad guy or what.
Sound like the U.S.
Sound like the U.S. Which it is.
All right. Don't get us missile over here.
Yeah. So then we go back to Jim and we go back to Nora and Miles, and they're back in Culpeper, and they're able to they fight off this kill squad that has come to find Miles. And I'm surprised the three of them take on and kill everybody. And Jim even like kills the dude, hacks the dude to death that tries to kill his wife.
Yeah. Right there.
That's strong, man.
Oh yeah, because he saw Jim Hudson look up at the wife who was looking at him throughout the window. Yeah. He walks up there while he's fighting, he's about to kill her. Jim Hudson comes up there and cuts him up. So the wife's looking at him like, who is this man?
Right.
There's a stranger in my house.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad about that because now he says to Miles, "You ruined my life twice now.
Yeah.
You've done, before when we were with Monroe, we set everything up. You were supposed to kill him,
and you
didn't, and you left us holding the bag. So he's mad about that. And then of course now he's like, the one thing that I love, my wife no longer wants anything to do with me. So I have no choice. I have to go with you."
So Miles gets what he wanted. He's building another army to fight Monroe.
And it's sad at the cost, though.
It is
man's
sad at
family.
the cost.
It is, but it's life.
Yes.
It's life, and especially, it's a noble cause for back
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
So then they get back to the camp. They join up with everybody else, and of course, Charlie apologizes to her mother for being such a brat. And then you also see a softer side of Miles because he's kind of, he's happy.
Yeah.
He sees them, it touches him, and Nora grabs his hand. So I think there's going to be a little love fest going on there.
I think so.
Yes. And then the other thing about that is it ends, well, we'll say there's a flashback the night of the blackout.
Yeah.
And we see Randall, and they're getting ready to execute this weapon of mass destruction. And they're like, "Are you sure?" The person in the tower says, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yes, tower, execute."
Execute.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, I think there's going to be a lot happening over the next couple of episodes with the tower and just kind of like Miles and Jim just kind of building their whole army to fight against Monroe. So, I think it's going to be great. I'm glad to see us back, and can't wait to watch next week.
Right. And then it ends, of course, with Aaron asking Rachel what's going to happen. What's, you got to tell me what's going on. She said, "Okay, I'll tell you everything I know."
I'll tell you everything.
And there's this place called the Tower. And it ends like that. So now we get to see what's going to happen with the tower.
Yeah.
See how instrumental that is.
They have to get their little army, their rebel group organized before they get to level 12.
Yes.
Before they get to
So
level 12.
they're up against the clock.
They have to, yeah.
Yep.
And then you got to
excited.
think about travel time. Where is the tower? How long do they have to walk?
Right.
Can we get there by
Right.
wagon, by horse?
Right.
Yeah, they,
Right. But we'll go into that. We got some quick news and gossip, though, we do need to talk about. Quick news and gossip.
Buzz TV News.
So the group was at WonderCon 2013 this past weekend, the whole entire crew, staff,
Yeah.
cast, and they revealed a couple of things that is going to happen. So here's some spoilers that I'm sure all the fans would want to know. Aaron comes face to face with Priscilla, the wife he left.
Really? Wow.
Bet you didn't know that. And we find out that Miles and Bass were teenagers, and they had a love triangle with Annie Wershing, who's on 24, if you watch that show. And we'll see why Floor 12 is so important. And we also get a look at the Georgia Federation. 24's Leslie Hope is the president of the Georgia Federation.
Really?
And their life is so different. They have a mall.
That's something I said.
Really?
Like, you really don't
Yes.
have too much of anything besides like the Monroe Federation, because
Oh,
you don't
yes.
hear nothing about the California or the Southern Federation.
And they talked about the California Federation. Governor Affleck? I wonder if it's been.
Affleck.
I wonder if it's been Affleck. No, so the biggest news is that next week's episode, they will reveal exactly why the blackout occurred.
Wow.
Wow.
Next week.
Waiting for that.
Ratings, though?
And ratings, actually, it's kind of a bummer right now for ratings because the ratings for the second episode actually declined.
Oh, no.
They went down 3/10, which is actually a series low for them. Every show ever with the show Revolution.
Wow.
They were down to 6.6 million, but they still led the 10 o'clock division. All shows that came
Okay.
on at 10 o'clock. So a lot of things could attribute to March Madness that's going on right now. The big games that are being played. But come on, people, you got to watch this show.
So
Keep
we
this
need
show
y'all,
on.
people. Tell your friends, tell your family. Please watch Revolution
Watch
on Monday
Revolution.
night.
Revolution.
Yes, and where can they find you really quickly?
They can find me on Twitter at Coach of the Athlete, Instagram, The Coach of the Athlete. But like I said, it has nothing to do with Revolution right now.
Larice?
And you can find me at Larice Shamar and TruePeoplesMedia.com.
All right, and I'm Megan Thomas. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.